Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to take a huge stack of sources, cut through all the noise, and just give you the essential knowledge you need to be well-informed and fast.
Today, we are wading into a topic that affects, well, pretty much everyone on the planet at some point. Common skin congestion. Specifically, we're talking about whiteheads and blackheads.
Right, these have to be two of the most universal, but also, I think, most misunderstood skincare concerns out there.
Absolutely.
So our mission today is to clear up that confusion. We want to understand exactly how these blemishes, or comedones, we'll probably use both terms, how they actually form.
And more importantly, identify the strategies that really work for managing them and, for long-term prevention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is your shortcut to tackling that persistent texture.
And we're going to start with what I think is the most surprising fact from all the research. Even though whiteheads and blackheads look totally different, one is white, one is dark. They both start from the exact same process, deep down inside the pore.
Okay, so let's unpack that. That feels like a really crucial point because it sets the stage for everything else. They're just two versions of the same core problem.
Precisely. And what's so fascinating is that the initial formation is, it's entirely mechanical. It begins when the hair follicle or the pore gets blocked. That's step one, no matter what color it ends up being.
And what's in that block?
Yeah.
What creates that plug? The sources all point to this classic combo of two things the skin just naturally produces.
Right.
First, you have excess oil sebum, and then you have dead skin cells that I guess just didn't shed properly.
That's it. Those two things mix together, they get trapped, and they create this dense little plug inside the follicle. And while we always focus on the face, the nose, the chin.
The T-zone.
T-zone, exactly. We have to remember that anywhere you have a pore, you can get a blockage. That's why you see them so often on the back, the chest, even the upper arms.
That makes total sense. So if the starting point, that plug, is identical, then why the two completely different outcomes? What's the one thing that determines if it becomes a little white bump or a visible dark spot?
It all comes down to the relationship between that plug and the surface of the skin. So for whiteheads, we call them closed comedones.
Closed. Okay.
The pore opening, the very top, stays tiny. It hasn't stretched open. And because that plug is sealed under a thin layer of skin, it just looks like a white or yellowish bump.
So it's physically trapped under the surface.
Exactly. It's sealed off, which gives it that smooth, raised look. Now, blackheads are the opposite. They're open comedones.
Okay.
In this case, the congestion has put so much pressure on the follicle that the opening of the pore has actually dilated. It's stretched open, exposing everything inside that plug directly to the air.
Wait a second. If the pore is open, why can't you just, wash your face and clear it out? Does the plug harden or something?
That's a really good question. The plug does get more solid over time, but washing doesn't work for a couple of reasons. One, the pore is still sort of holding it in place at the base, but more importantly, it's not surface dirt. That plug is deep inside the follicular canal.
Here's where we get to the big myth-busting moment, because I swear, if you ask anyone what a blackhead is, they'll say it's dirt trapped in your pores.
Yes, that is the number one misconception we have to clear up. The sources are so emphatic about this.
No, it's not dirt.
It has absolutely nothing to do with dirt or, not washing your face enough. The dark color is caused by a natural chemical process, oxidation.
Oxidation. That sounds complicated, but it's actually something we see all the time, right?
It is. Think about what happens when you cut an apple open and leave it on the counter.
It turns brown.
It turns brown. That's oxidation. The flesh of the apple reacts with the oxygen in the air. The exact same thing happens here. When the components of that plug, the lipids and melanin, are exposed to the atmosphere, a chemical reaction happens that causes them to darken. It's like the plug is rusting.
I love that analogy. It's rusting. That really frames it as a chemical event, not a hygiene failure. That feels like a really important distinction for people to hear.
It is.
So, okay, the formation is mechanical oil and cells. But what triggers the overproduction of that stuff in the first place?
Well, this is where it gets a little more complex. Several factors can, accelerate this whole process. First, let's talk about bacteria.
And we're talking about P. acnes, right?
Correct. Propionibacterium acnes. It's a bacteria that lives on our skin normally, but it thrives in certain conditions. And this is really relevant for whiteheads, those closed-off ones.
Because they're sealed.
Because they're sealed. It creates this anaerobic environment.
No oxygen.
Exactly, an oxygen-free zone. And that bacteria just loves it. It starts to multiply like crazy inside that closed space.
And that's when your body's immune system kicks in and you get inflammation.
That's the one. Your body detects the overgrowth, sends in the troops, and that's what leads to the redness, the swelling, the pain. Basically, the transition from a simple clogged pore to an angry, inflamed pimple.
Then you've got the internal stuff, the hormones, which for so many people feels like the real engine behind all of this.
Hormonal fluctuations are huge. Puberty, menstrual cycles. During these times, your body ramps up sebum production. More oil just means a higher probability of clogs.
And we can't ignore modern life either. The sources definitely link stress and not getting enough sleep to more breakouts.
Yeah, the American Academy of Dermatology points this out. High stress levels can change your body's chemistry and lead to more inflammation. And a chronic lack of sleep just impacts your body's ability to regulate itself, which can absolutely show up on your skin.
And finally, there's the external stuff, the products we're putting on our skin every single day. Skincare, makeup, even like heavy hair conditioners or pomades can have ingredients that are comedogenic.
That's a huge one. If a product is designed to be thick and heavy, it might contain ingredients that just, well, clog your pores when they get on your skin. This makes the whole non-comedogenic label really non-negotiable for anyone who's prone to this.
Can we give people some examples? Like, what are some of the common culprits to watch out for on a label?
Sure. I mean, formulation is complex, but some classic ones in thick creams would be heavy oils like coconut oil, cocoa butter, certain types of lanolin. If you're struggling with this, checking the labels of everything that touches your skin is a really critical first step.
Okay, that's fundamental prevention. But let's shift to management. The clog is already there. How do we treat it safely and effectively?
First, we have to start with the big don't because the temptation is so strong.
Yeah.
You can never, ever try to remove them at home. We're talking kicking, squeezing. It dramatically increases your risk of scarring, of pushing bacteria deeper, and honestly just making it look way worse for way longer. You have to resist.
Got it. Hands off. So for safe treatment, we're starting with over-the-counter OTC options. And the goal is to attack those two core causes, the excess oil and the buildup of dead skin.
And this is where we really have to get into the chemistry of key ingredients. To treat existing comedones, the research points heavily to ingredients that can get in there and dissolve the plug. And the star player here is salicylic acid.
Okay, so why salicylic acid, or SA specifically? What makes it so good for whiteheads and blackheads compared to other exfoliants?
This is a great question. So salicylic acid is a beta-hydroxy acid, a BHA. Other acids you hear about, like glycolic or lactic acid, are alpha-hydroxy acids, or AHAs. They're water-soluble, so they work great on the surface of the skin.
Okay.
But BHA is unique because it's oil-soluble.
Ah, so because it's oil-soluble, it can actually cut through the oil in the pore.
Precisely. It can penetrate through the skin's lipids, get deep down into the follicle, and start dissolving that plug of oil and dead cells from the inside out. It just makes it far superior for tackling the root cause of these specific blemishes.
So we're looking for SA in things like cleansers and spot treatments. What about other ingredients that can help?
Products with kaolin clay are excellent for just absorbing that surface oil without being too harsh. And we also see niacinamide mentioned a lot, which is less about exfoliating and more about regulating, which we should definitely come back to.
Okay, and if the congestion is really stubborn, or if you're dealing with those dark spots left behind after a pimple heals, the post-acne marks, the next step is often retinoids.
Yes, retinoids are derivatives of vitamin A, and they are powerhouses. The kind you can get over the counter, retinol, is great for increasing cell turnover. It helps refine the skin's texture and can reduce the appearance of pores and those leftover marks.
But retinoid is a pretty broad term, right? There's a big difference in strength.
A huge difference. If the OTC options, the salicylic acid, the gentle retinol, if they aren't working after a few weeks of consistent use, that's the time to see a professional. Prescription treatments offer much stronger retinoids like tretinoin.
And those require doctor supervision, which is so important because they can come with side effects, like a lot of dryness and irritation.
Very important. And beyond retinoids, a doctor might prescribe antibiotics to handle the bacteria, or for women where hormones are clearly the main driver, some FDA-approved oral contraceptives can be extremely effective at stabilizing everything.
Okay, so we've covered how they form, the science of fixing them. Let's talk about the long game, prevention. Because you can't guarantee you'll never get another one, but a consistent routine seems to be the only way to minimize them.
Consistency is everything, and it starts with just supporting your skin's natural defenses. You need a simple, reliable routine, a good cleanser, a moisturizer that works for you, and daily sunscreen.
And the sources kept bringing up a specific type of lipid, ceramides. Why are ceramides so important for preventing clogged pores?
Ceramides are basically the mortar that holds your skin barrier bricks together. Research has linked low ceramide levels to a weaker skin barrier, which leads to more inflammation and something called hyperkeratinization.
Which sounds
It just means your skin produces an excess of sticky, dead skin cells.
sticky, dead skin cells. That sounds like the perfect recipe for a plug.
It's the exact recipe. So by using products with ceramides, you're strengthening your skin's barrier, which can help calm things down and make it harder for those plugs to form in the first place.
And what about just, washing your face? The technique seems to matter just as much as what you're using.
It really does. Cleansing is obviously essential for removing daily grime and excess oil, but the key is to be gentle. No harsh scrubbing. That can just irritate the skin and make things worse. And use lukewarm water, not hot water, can strip your skin and actually trigger it to produce even more oil to compensate.
Before we wrap up, let's just do one more deep dive on that ingredient you mentioned earlier that keeps popping up. Niacinamide. What exactly is its main job in controlling comedones?
Niacinamide is brilliant because it has this great dual action. First, it helps balance things out. Studies show it can help regulate excess oil production, so you're reducing the amount of raw material for plugs.
Okay, so it tackles one of the root causes and the second benefit.
It's a fantastic calming agent. It helps reduce the appearance of redness and irritation, which is a huge plus for anyone whose clogged pores tend to get red and inflamed. It just helps calm the whole system down.
We have to say it one more time. Always, always look for the words non-comedogenic on every single product label.
It's non-negotiable. If your makeup or your hair product is clogging your pores, no amount of treatment is going to keep you ahead of the problem.
So to wrap all this up for you, blemishes are common. They both start with oil and dead skin. The only difference in color is whether the pore is open to the air and oxidizes.
Consistency in your routine is absolutely key, and please never, ever pick.
And remember, if you're finding your whiteheads and blackheads are just really stubborn and they're not responding to those proven OTC ingredients like BHA, the best thing you can do is see a dermatologist. They can create a customized plan just for you.
And if we just zoom out for a final thought, the research confirmed that stress and a lack of sleep are major contributing factors to clogged pores. So it's worth asking yourself, how much of your current skincare battle needs to be fought not just with creams and serums, but through real changes to your internal lifestyle? Managing stress, prioritizing rest, that's something powerful for you to explore on your own.
A great thought to end on. That's all for this deep dive. See you next time.